Welcome back to Proving Grounds, ladies and gentlemen. TSM Academy showed up and showed out in this game number one with great performances from so many of their laners. And we see it right here, right, Dimitri? Like, although they made an effort to come back, but TSM was way too far ahead.
I would say these are arguably most of TSM Academy's comfort picks. Kaisa for Cody-san, you have Yurson and an engaged support like Rel, you have Sword on Zoe. This is almost basically what they would have wanted. I think Nidalee maybe for Babbitt, but maybe GP for Haunter, but either way, strong picks all around, and TSM Academy playing really well to their team fight strengths. And honestly, just some surprises considering, coming into this matchup, Meech and King tend to win their lane a lot more often. And we saw in that early game that the level one for them went super poorly. It went sideways very quickly. And now coming into game two, I wonder if we'll see some changes. King has definitely shown to pull out some interesting bot picks. And I wonder what the jungle adaptation will be, because letting Hecarim through, I wonder if TSM are like, okay, well, that's fine, especially with Dignitas Mirage. They will have blue side this time around for game two. Wonder what the adaptation in the series, always the most fun thing for me.
One big thing as well I wanted to point out is that unfortunately, DIGM also being shut down very early on in the game. And honestly, Babbitt just having so much agency. You saw complete control of every single neutral objective on the map, Dimitri. And if Babbitt is able to do that again, I imagine we'll see the run back of game number one. So I want to see if Yami is able to be supported a little more. Maybe if they can get a champ with a bit more late agency that can match up on some of these roams. I would like to see out of Big Mirage just so they're supported laners,
Yeah, and TSM Academy, when we saw them in the regular season for the split, even though they ended up kind of falling a little bit short, their early game was fantastic. They had an almost 70 early game rating, which means at the 15-minute mark, they had a 70% chance of winning that game. Now, obviously, sometimes it went a little bit south and it went in the other direction. But if we continue to see performances like this from TSM Academy, this is what, the strength, I think this is where we can generally say would be a much higher point for this team. However, it has taken a little bit of bumps, right? They took the loss against Zeus. They ended up, dropping down into the lower bracket. So they need to find consistency with this roster. And they also need to, be able to replicate it. Say, hey, we had that early game in game one. Let's try and recreate this for game two so that we can always find ourselves or find replicable paths to victory in the early game.
And I think one of the replicable paths to actually getting into that early game, right? So I found both for Dragoon and also for Haunter is, like I was saying, that top set, right? Because considering that Haunter was able to get the early lead, with push Dragoon in, Renekton, which is meant to be an early lane power pick, not able to get out of lane at all, consistently stuck to farming under tower and just trying to do whatever he can. And once we got to 20-minute mark, right, we saw that unfortunately, because Dragoon wasn't able to be enabled, when he got to the team fight seasons, was not able to have the same Renekton prowess that we know so many of them. Now, considering TSM 0-1 right now, they could look to possibly knock Mirage out of this tournament. Remember, whoever possibly loses this game at the end of the series is gone. Done. So they're bottom four, Dimitri.
Yeah, and they will be playing up against the winner of tomorrow, or the loser, of tomorrow's match, Noarg versus Barrage. So really tough, if this is not a convincing series from either of them, I think tomorrow's matchup is going to have a lot of pressure on whoever wins this one to continue forward and really start to make that climb. Mirage, they could make the reverse sweep yet again. They might take a little bit of faith from the other amateur lads that they saw earlier. Like, okay, VGP can do it. We can do it. We can come back in this game, and we can come back in this series. We'll have to wait and see. TSM Academy, when I look at this, I'm saying, okay, well, they're doing really well. They've got Soren on comfort picks. They got some great comfort picks, but Babbitt, how do we activate this guy? Because yet again, we saw him do a lot in this team, and the opposite goes for Mirage. How do we get Hayami included into team fights? How do we get him to really be a great active participant in team fights where the rest of the team is also with him? That is what I'm wondering coming into game two.
Yes, because we saw, I believe, in that B reel, right? That main bot lane dive that Hikami did. He was a little bit early on the play, and you saw he needed to be there along with his entire team. So unfortunately, I find Mirage just pulling the trigger a little bit too early, like you mentioned before, Dimitri. This is why cars have brakes, just to be able to at least slow them down and let them know when to stop. So maybe, Hikami this time, although he doesn't need any brakes, but just needs to go ahead and turn on the engine to make sure to see his clear path in front of him and have the team
He's going fast.
of him, right?
I think he just got hit with the e-brake. He got hit with the TSM was standing there. Rel was like, okay, you're stopping. You're done moving. I'm going to lock you down. But Mirage, they need some way, whether that means just spam ganking bot lane. I don't mind if you're going to go for this, but this is a team that has typically found success by letting Meech and King find those trades. They're usually ones to go for large HP trades in the lane. That's why we've seen them play more lane dominant stuff like Caitlyn and Morgana. Ashe as well would be really good for that if they not only want to get push priority, but also poke out the enemy laners. When we looked at their stats, right, it was, Meech tend to win lane more often. Meech's gold at 10 is 315, while Cody-san only 70 gold at the 10-minute mark. So it's things like this where you're looking at their early game. You look at the early game here for Dignitas Mirage, and you're thinking, okay, the bot lane needs to be set up to play. You saw it a little bit early on. Obviously, it got countered by an early death, but I think if that doesn't happen, maybe we start to see Dignitas Mirage kind of start to eke out some wins and get a really strong footing in this game.
It all remains to be seen so far, right? Because yet again, like we talked about before, a lot of that will genuinely depend on how this early game goes. Because right now, with Babib, if he possibly gets the comfort pick, and so do all of TSM, fortunately, I'm not too sure what to say to all the side of Mirage, right? So I imagine some early picks to be might be traded back and forth will definitely be the Hecarim and Udyr. I would be shocked if the Udyr is not banned in this game, considering just how much of a power pick it has been, not only for so many junglers, but just across this entire season of Academy in general. We've seen Udyr definitely being, alongside Hecarim, one of the priority picks for most junglers, just not only for that clear speed, but as many people say, that bare run, stun, and done, right? Walk in, gawk out as fast as you came in. You're actually just Usain Bolt with it, no matter where you go.
Yeah, it's super dangerous, especially for someone like Hecarim, who utilizes the movement speed to become that much more dangerous, right? You get a bunch of damage off of your warpath and off of your passive. So I want to see what the junglers are, because Hayami and Babip have really kind of different champion pools than maybe what others would have. Haven't quite seen too much of the Lilia, haven't seen too much of the Nidalee from Hayami. So maybe we start to see that. And with Skarner, I wonder if Skarner will hit the ban table again. If TSM are just saying, look, we don't want to deal with that champion. We're just going to take Hayami off of a little bit of comfort and make this game as uncomfortable as possible for him.
The Skarner tax is honestly just a bit too much to pay, and the price of Medi, it's not worth it. About 950 gold, ain't nobody got time for that. I'm trying to buy me another BF sword and maybe just a cloak of agility, right? As we see right away, right off the bat, the TF that you mentioned before, not giving over the sword, and yet again they deny Dragoon.
No drip Darius, no drip Darius allowed in this game. It's
Please.
Okay. We will not get drip Darius. It will have to wait yet another series. Pretty smart from TSM. I think that if you just do that, that is a massive, that is just like, okay, you either have to have a counter pick for it, or you just do not think that Dragoon can beat your team with it. You can say, look, you can have your best champion, we can still beat you. That would be kind of disrespectful. But going on with the draft, getting rid of Thresh, getting rid of some of these counter picks, junglers are available. Hecarim, Udyr, Skarner again. I mean, these are all available for the side of Dignitas Mirage if they want to first pick them.
The Lilia as well, one pick which you haven't seen just as of yet. It was high priority in the previous series, but like you mentioned, the Udyr right away picked up by Dignitas Mirage for Hiyami 2, denying TSM Academy the pick, but they'll make sure on the other end to run back the same Kai'Sa Rel combination, setting Cody-san and Yuri-san up for success.
And now Dignitas Mirage, they have a couple of options here. I think Scion would actually be a really big bait pick because Hanser might just pull out the Nocturne, and then you have to deal with Nocturne Rel. Gragas, I think, is still an option. It gives you that support counter pick. Alistar is still on the table, so a bunch of champions still available if they want to be able to stop this Rel from engaging. Tom Kench is here since they're going to look to activate onto Meech, but I wonder which way they're going to go. Are they going to go for that Alistar, or are they going to go for that Tom Kench?
I mean, looking at it right now, too, Alistar locked in, right? So, yet another fantastic response, especially into the Rel 2. I've seen this matchup so very calmly traded back and forth, and it'll just be the trader junglers this time, as we see Babbitt on the Hecarim as well. But I'm excited to see if we can see Meech and King be prioritized this game as well, because we wanted to see Jinx have a solid early game, just be able to make sure to execute on one of Mirage's composition's win conditions already. Demetrius has come in so far, just taking out the mid lanes, right? Making sure that they don't want to seize Horde on the Zoe yet again, which was a terror previously. And of course, Syndra is taking off on the backside.
Yeah, they just want to get rid of DNA's comfort, right? Like, you give him Syndra, and he has played the most games on Syndra. I'm really interested as to which team is going to pick up Orianna here, because Orianna with someone like Hecarim is so disgusting, and it's a good blind for you if you're on the side of TSM Academy. Gives you good zone control versus the side of, maybe a Jinx or even like an Udyr, and would really start to match up well with the identity that TSM want to go to. We'll have to wait and see, but they do have counter pick. Nocturne taken away means I smell a Scion in our game, buddy.
Ooh, but they go and run that back. The Hanser picking himself up. Do Renekton this time, so we could see Meech decide to ego it and pick up the Aatrox this time, but it'll be the big romantic man in the top sets. That'll be the Urgot Dimitri. I love Urgot. I love
Urgot too.
I think
Urgot was a lot of fun.
I know, man, and I'm excited to see him finally activated in this game, as it'll be the Nico final pick coming out for the side of likely DNA in the mid lane too. Now, so it just leaves Sword to get the counter pick of Nico. Lucian is up. They could possibly do this if they want to opt this matchup. So go for the Karma, it looks like.
We'll have to wait and see. But Nico in the mid lane really love this into their composition. And Sword, I love this. This is so good. Karma's so strong, by the way. If you're not playing Karma right now competitively, gotta get on that, because this champion is disgusting. And I don't know if they'll do it. I don't know if they'll try to give Hanser maybe a little bit of a better matchup just to try and kill the Nico. But okay, whatever. I was thinking maybe Renekton can go mid, and then I was like, it doesn't sound too good. Doesn't sound like you're gonna get too much. This is a really, yet again, another dive composition, but Karma being able to support the backline and give them so many shields is awesome. However, that answer from DNA, oh man, this Nico, if DNA is able to position properly, yet again, the Pop Blossom should stop any engage from TSM and should give them enough time on the side of Dignitas Mirage to at least find one kill, allow for Meech to pop off, allow for Dragoon potentially to find a Fear Beyond Death. And man, this is a really insane draft. This is why I love looking at Dignitas Mirage, because they have so many unique picks across multiple players that it's just always fun to see. They don't pick, they don't go straight for the meta, and it's just awesome. This is, in theory, really good for Dignitas Mirage. It is a direct counter versus TSM Academy.
But all that's going to matter right now, Dimitri, will be the execution of this composition, right? Like you mentioned, the direct counters, but they have to play their lanes well, and how they play out the first 10 minutes, I find, will really decide how the rest of the game goes too, because they do have some early power spikes. We're looking at that bot lane too, making sure the TSM Academy and the Dignitas are playing a bit safely, because Jinx is going to shut down early, as what we saw last game, and giving Cody's son complete variants of what happens bot side. And as well, yet again, Babbitt, he was able to shut down Hiyami. I don't imagine he was able to do so as easily, right? But considering Hiyami's on the Udyr, should be a bit more back and forth game as you're about to head onto the Rift for what could be one of the potential final games of the night, Dimitri.
Yep. Backs against the wall. Dignitas Mirage, they need to be able to find this win. I wonder if Yurson will try to crash down. Oh, I don't think that ward's in the bush. He won't see King here. They could try to go for it. You see the pings coming out. Immediately, Nico is walking over. Jinx is here. Yurson might just have to blow flash pretty early on as gets the lethal tempo out, gets the W back on, but Hayami, that's not Hayami, that's DNA. That's not the right one. Oh my god, the flash. King.
That was actually so clean from him, bro. I mean, I thought it was gonna go back and forth. He might have gotten like headbutted into the tower. Damn.
That was, yeah, that's what he needs to do, right? Like King trying to disorient Yurson, but no flashes from the supports now of either team. And a rather close kind of early game here for TSM. If Yurson goes down early, it shouldn't spell doom for the team quite yet, but definitely a very dangerous and precarious position. Just look at the, so awesome. Thank you, producers, for this. Look at how close this ward is into the bush. See the Mia pings come out, and then they get to collapse. The important thing here is, I think the best part for Dignitas Mirage is they won't have to worry about that level 2 Yurson engage on Rel.
That's like the biggest thing, right? We was looking at TSM to be able to possibly get some early lead to shut down Mish, maybe. So being able to save that off and this flash every time, bro, is so beautiful. Flashes up the thumbs up, letting him know, buddy. It was a close one, but not gonna get me as of yet.
Not close enough. Close enough.
Exactly so, but for the first time actually, I believe I've seen throughout the entire day, the junglers are actually starting out on opposite sides of the rift, though. So we'll see. Barrett probably pay a bit more attention down his bot lane too, and rightfully so, right? You want to make sure the Meech is not able to get actually be able to be at any sort of agency in lane. On the other end, Dragoon, as actually we predicted, will have the early push, so we'll have to see how Hanser might be able to work his way back.
Yeah, it'll still be a little bit dangerous for them to try and dive onto the Renekton. Obviously, the stun is so important for who it lands on, but they have a lot of really good defensive tools if they were to go under the turret for the side of Dignitas Mirage. So we'll have to wait and see. For right now, like you said, both junglers starting on opposite sides. They'll just try to at least split the map a little bit. They'll get their Raptors, and then just poke in, see what camps are up. They'll probably know each other on the opposite side, and especially with how TSM has been warding so far, they should see Hayami now on this top side, and they already put a ward on the blue buff earlier on, so they know that the Udyr has to be up here.
Also, look at that absolutely crucial ward right in the river as well. They spot out Hayami too. DNA moving in, gonna fake them out a little bit. Maybe not wanting to overcommit. We'll just walk through the lane, right? Sword will be a-okay.
Oh my god, wait. That's so unfortunate for TSM. It's such a small thing. I won't try to overstate it, but right there you see that with the mid lane priority, with Babip unable to finish the crab, especially with King then moving into the river, Babip says, I cannot do the crab, and he gets his back canceled. So now I think he's just going to finish it. But it does mean that Hayami will find at least a little bit of reprieve, and will find himself at least in a small lead against the enemy jungler.
Dimitri, this means they double crabbed him. Babip's
they double crabbed him.
I mean, I don't know about Babip's mental. My mental right now, if I'm Babip, is shattered. God, Dunzo Bunzo. Immediately, I'm looking at FF as soon as I can if I'm jungling, right? But it's a good thing I don't do that.
It's 2 crabs. Okay, like 2 crabs is bad, but like it's still playable. It's not the worst thing that could happen. Ravish, that might just be the weak side. I would think that the weak side King yourself, you would be like, look, I'm okay with just giving up resources. Look, I didn't think a crab would break you, man.
Look, but when I go top lane, I know what I'm getting into, but looks like Dragoon might not have it. This is a decently large wave pushing into Dragoon already. He does have the dash away as well, as Sword has roamed up, is trying to stave him off, but Yami's there too. They're looking for
the re-engage.
Flip him over. Hanser has the heal, he flashes onto him. Dragoon it's actually kind of gliding all the way back, but the fight so well. Sword not a little bit of trouble. A couple more kills should be able to do it. Dragoon has that machine going up. Babip is there as well, looking to fight. No. And there's first blood going over to Hanser nonetheless. The engage to the backside too. Dignitas Mirage are in so much trouble as Hanser picks up a double.
Oh, that fight just completely backfired onto Dignitas. DNA may be able to find these. He has the flash available, electrocute as well. Flashes over to find Hanser. So 1 for 2 in favor of TSM Academy. And that dive started off so well for Dignitas. They waste yet again a bunch of time for TSM. Now watch this. So Dignitas able to then stop this. So you see Dragoon, he gets it onto Hanser, and just so little damage is applied to their team. And yet they're not able to connect. Hayami, maybe if he's able to flash this wall into Sword, can find this, but they waste so much time. Hanser with a massive stun. I want to see what happens with Urgot's Disdain. Okay, so it doesn't go into the wall there. Yeah, it lands onto one member. Such a close fight, and DNA trying to get what he can. He knows BABIP can't re-engage onto him. So getting the kill in revenge for his top laner, but what ends up being a good dive is I'll hold that. That might just be Hayami dead.
As they find him out, he smites the scuttle for some health, but it will not matter. He's essentially a 3v1, and this gives TSM yet again agency over the first Drake, Dimitri. And we were talking about it before, right? How was Hanser going to be able to get out of his lane? How is he going to be able to play? Getting 2 kills on your reactor feels pretty good.
Yeah, feels really good, like you said. And that seemed like a very strange play for Hayami because your bot lane is resetting, and so is your mid lane. So trying to get a little bit cheeky, maybe try to punish BABIP for not quite being in position. But BABIP, Yerson, all come on through. They say, you cannot be here. This is illegal positioning. And now some of that tempo that Hayami may have had just from the jungle farm and being able to clear his camps a little bit faster than BABIP is going to kind of run a little bit dry here, as BABIP should hit level 6 after finishing his bot side. Yeah, he finishes the Gromp, picks up the level 6, and now is looking very strong on the map.
The question is not, Dimitri, right? How do Dignitas Mirage respond to this? How do they respond to the terror that BABIP has already become? He's picked up an early kill, and yet again, of course, the Ionian boots the Lucidity Rush, bro. That so many of these players, I see them doing every single time. I understand they're cool and fast to clear, but I mean, it's what it is. I was therefore I'll hold off my opinions of it. As you see, again, Cody Sunny, your son, and maintaining the push on the bot side. Now, BABIP is all the way top 2, and along with Hanser having the pushing wave, right now TSM, if you look at this, Dimitri, have 3 lanes pushing all in their favor, and with the Rift Herald up, this should be BABIP's.
Yeah, we're taking a look at this. Hayami is here, and Dragoon will be able to at least push this wave back, hopefully. He does also have the Fear Beyond Death, so potentially an angle for Dignitas Mirage if they try to stop this Herald. But like you were saying, never mind, I'll hold that. They're going right on to Meech.
Immediately he's ignited up, has to flash out. Oh, the Prey Secret just barely misses, but Meech is not putting out a damage with the rockets. The Mega Death One will not find it as of yet as Yerson trying to kite it out, just get to the back line into a bush. A small trades back and forth. Everybody's okay. We're fine.
The most important interaction when it's Kaisa versus Jinx is where she puts the chompers down, because we saw right there, Cody-san tries to use the ultimate, but gets stopped by the flame chompers. That is the one thing that I think kept him alive in that situation. And now they're going to try to go for this dive. Look at where some of the laners are. Sword does not have TP. We saw that DNA started to make his way up there, but Ping's going down. They're going for this Rift Herald on the side of Dignitas Mirage, and I think this might be a little bit dangerous. TSM can look for the move if they want. BABIP is in position, and Yerson can roam out of base right now.
DNA also having a pretty even lane too, so both these mid laners could come up if they wanted to, but Sword will be the first one to actually respond, as our TSM immediately they get first agency over the Rift Herald, and Dignitas Mirage just give it up.
They just can't answer this. They don't know where the rest of the team is, and since they don't know where, they know that Yerson and them just took a reset, but if you're going to try and push into Sword, especially with a level 7 BABIP on the Hecarim, very dangerous. I would almost recommend against it. They do not decide to contest for it. They give up the Rift Herald for TSM. And now I want to watch not only BABIP, but what does Sword do with his mid priority? Because now he's going to be able to move, and does he just connect with his mid laner, connect with his jungler, or just try to roam on bot and try to see what he can do for some of these other lanes?
Considering Sword right now is like almost like 30 CS down wins a matchup, which is a little bit unfortunate. So not being able to hit his early power spikes as of yet, Dimitri. But because we know this, because he's consistently given up so many of his waves to actually respond to what Maverick wants to do, which exactly this. They push in onto Dragoon. TP's coming in, but before it even can, Dragoon has been popped.
Dragoon, you tried, buddy. That was a valiant attempt. I like the way where he tried to use the warpath and then he used the disdain to stop him mid-dash. So it ended up kind of canceling the knockback effect, but staying too long in the animation, staying stunned for so long. Babip doesn't even use ultimate, so if he really wants, he can head to another lane and find another kill. Potentially with bot lane, since they're going to reset, I imagine that they might try to go for another dive bot lane, but with Dragoon falling, Hanser is continuing to kind of oppress in the top lane.
Speaking of 30 CS lanes, by the way, it's Hanser has like almost a 40 CS one, bro. It's 3-1 in the lane, and we were expecting a lot out of Dragoon coming into this, right? We were seeing Urgot, such a fantastic champion, could be a good lane matchup as well for Hanser, but just early overall pressure from Babip to be able to shut down, and a lot of that goes back to the early kind of skirmish we saw in the top side river. It goes back and forth, and unfortunately with Mirage just not being frustrated to take, not being proactive enough to respond, Hanser getting just so far ahead. Tiami will be spotted up by the Ward. The King sees this, but I don't think they want this.
Yeah, they just want to try and clear out Vision because they want to contest for this Drake, right? You see that they're already putting down Vision. They have a bunch in the back pit, but I think they won't be able to clear this one that is inside the pit. And we look at this, Babip just saying, look, I don't really care about a second Drake, especially if it's Cloud, just gank top lane. Set up the Rift Herald, it's halfway up, start to take control of the top side camps as they're trying to find something. King going in, might be just a small trade. HP bars ticking down, Yurson.
Dragon taken on the backside. That
Here comes
means
DNA.
The Mirage are roaming over to. They are 4 people strong. Pop Blossom goes in, and the Dismal barely get out of the Mega Death Drop will keep him alive. At least on the backside, they'll spawn with top tower. But TSM, that was close.
I love the split map that TSM are going for, recognizing, hey, we really don't need to go for all that much. They will be giving Jinx a ton of turret gold and a ton of plates right now, so that is a little bit worrisome, but getting a bunch of gold onto this Renekton, they're trying to make him a massive threat onto Jinx, and Jinx will have flash for the next fight since it is coming up rather soon, but that was a really nice escape from Yurson to just try and pull away from this. And even though, yes, DNA is 30, a nice 40 CS up, Sword, he might be down 1100 gold, but does it really affect his champion all that much? He will get Moonstone Renewer regardless, and it will mean that it is so hard to kill this guy. Once he gets his one item, I mean, he would like to get Staff of Flowing Water. Maybe he gets an Ardent in this game, but like realistically, he just needs that one item, and he's honestly disgusting.
I do want to point out one thing as well, Dimitri, is looking at the almost 3k gold lead for TSM, almost all of that is concentrated over onto Hanser.
Oh, yeah.
He is 3,000 gold up onto his laner. So you see 3-1 currently in the lane. Dragoon has not had a fun time at all. And considering how Rift Herald should be up in just a little bit too, for this, Babip should be looking to set up some Vision topside as well. But we see, how does Mirage come back into this is the question.
Mirage, I mean, they don't have to get very greedy with it, right? Like, they just need to be first on the play. If they're able to set up for their objectives, they need TSM to, walk into them, walk into their vision, walk into their side of the jungle, or even walk into their objective. And suddenly, you have a great ability to turn around. Obviously, with Dragoon and DNA, they are such crucial pieces to this composition that they need to be able to kind of connect them into the game, find a way to get Dragoon back into this game, whether that just be like, hey, drop the wave and just come help out in team fights, find the Fear Beyond Death. If they're able to find a huge Pop Blossom, maybe the side of Dignitas Mirage, they can get a foothold back in this game and start to ramp it up for themselves.
Now with Dragon coming up in just under 2 minutes and 25 seconds, right? And Rift Herald in just a couple seconds, which by the way, Dimitri, I believe if we are tracking that fake stat from before, TSM are taking Dragon and Rift Herald, so they might be set to win this game, but
yes.
You know what? based on the logic that we had in the previous series, as Sword is battling around, gets a little bit of damage onto Hyami, but he's fine.
Look at how much pain Hayami's in. He's like, okay, well, now I can't really farm my bot side. Top lane lost a lot in terms of getting both of those turrets, so I can't even I can't hit this Krug pit at all in the top lane. It's so dangerous. Dignitas, they will find potentially something onto Yerson, getting some damage onto him, but Hayami taking a ton in trade, and they might be even giving up another tier 1 in bot lane.
Yeah, because Hyami with that too almost drops down to about half health, considering his Sword is able to get health back for himself, along with the trade, along with the Mantra W that he had empowered, and plus he's able to stun Hyami there as well. So, along with the shielding from this Karma, right, Sword takes almost no damage at all. The trade going completely in their favor as TSM looking to pressure this Rift Herald yet again.
Yeah, they're also going to have a really nice wave set up for them in top lane, so if they want to get the Rift Herald, they can now push out. They know that Dignitas Mirage are late to the play. They could TP onto this. You're seeing them start to rear up. Potentially, they'll lose the Rift Herald potentially, but they can call Dragoon for the TP. You see him already ready. He's waiting for it. Here he comes, 1500 on the Rift Herald.
Yeah, TP already put into a little bit back and forth. Once Mike could be able
to
do the Magnet Storm onto 3, pulls them all back. But look at Mitch on the back line. He's completely untouched. We got so much damage to make a death rocket. Cares to 2 members of Dignitas Barrage as right now TSM actually get blown up, Dimitri, and a shutdown as well going over to Meech.
And that's so huge, right? That is the shutdown onto Haunter, not able to get through the beefy front line of Dignitas Mirage, getting stunned every which way he tries. And we'll watch this team fight again. Watch the engage from Yerson. So he goes in, right? And I just want us to see what Cody Sun and Haunter are able to do in this fight. Cody Sun staying so far in the back line, trying to put in damage, but not, I mean, it's just such a short range. Not able to get much. Sword will be able to pick himself up. The Rift Herald, but Dragoon able to find the Fear Beyond Death. Babip trying his might with the Onslaught of Shadows, but being able to zone the enemy AD carry out from this fight just means that Dignitas Mirage, they get those resets, they get the gold that they want, and even though they lose a little bit for it, and they'll end up losing the next 2 tier 1s as well as a Drake, this has got to be that breath of fresh air into the composition.
Exactly, the Drake, and also along with the Rift Herald too, as I believe, so they lose both, unfortunately. But yeah, like you mentioned, finding small, intricate ways to get back into the game, Dimitri, exactly like you were talking about. They had to be first to the take, and that TP play was very heads up by them to find the small advantages. I do want to give a big shout out to Meech as well, who was able to stay outside of that fight the entire time, right? Compared to Cody Sun, that mid-range ADC just not being able to get in, and the rockets from Meech on the other end hitting so hard. Now win this, he actually has an item up on Cody Sun as well, so this Jinx has become a lot scarier.
Yeah, he has a little bit of KD under his belt, and I think this fits a little bit with how we were seeing Cody Sun throughout all of Academy as well as even UGP. This guy positions really, really well, but a lot of it comes sometimes at a cost of his damage, right? He's trying to protect himself, trying to be that hyper carry. That's why when we saw him on things like Ezreal, it was like a god's gift to us. He was like, okay, well now I can freely reposition whenever I want. We saw last week in the series, Cody Sun only died 3 times. He has one of the lowest death percentages in laners as well as just across other AD carries, but sometimes that can kind of bite back onto you, especially when we see in that team fight, it's just completely represented there.
Now, Dignitas Mirage, though, just getting a bit more of an even lane state that they must look to more of these neutral objectives, right? They have to stop TSM, I believe, at least we'll be able to get the sole point for themselves, because getting Earth Drake could definitely be one of the main ways that TSM can come back into this game, considering how fast they might be able to take down so many of these towers. Speaking of which, TSM still ahead on those as of right now, but that mid-tier 1 for Dignitas Mirage has been eluding them for so long, Dimitri, because they've consistently been trying to set up around this mid turret for the past 5 minutes, I believe, but they just do just such a good job being able to clear that wave.
Yeah, this is what happens when you have this Jinx that has not only the Runons, she will just permanently clear this wave. It is so difficult for you to get priority. And because of some of the long lanes that TSM have created for themselves in top and bot, it's very difficult for them to revisit these. And so now we take a look at what they want to do. Baron is up. Sword has finished the Moonstone Renewer. And so now onto TSM, it's very dangerous. They need to be able to find a fight as Hanser looking onto DNA.
Pops the Everfrost as well, but DNA puts
Oh my god!
Blossom in. It's a stun onto 2. Will go gold and it will die. It's a shutdown onto Babbitt as well. So really nice pick as they look to at least put more pressure onto this mid-tier 1.
Good, and keeping the game fast-paced is what TSM wants to do because they pulled everyone towards topside. So now TSM hopefully will get a little bit of access into the mid lane. They'll get a little bit of chip damage, but not have ultimate here, but Yerson going for it.
Magnus stun and stun onto all 4 here. Now Cody-san getting it, finally finds the fight he want here. Trying to chip down the tower a little bit more, making sure no one else dies.
Oh, the
that.
fear
Tower does a lot of damage. The Cody-san might not be able to do any more. Sword in the back line is trying to get Stave away, but Dragoon is just so big, man. There is fear, but there is death across the board.
TP from DNA.
He's trying to kite out a little bit, but he flips him over and will take down Cody-san as well. And now that will be the final of the confidence as well for Sword of 4 for 1 for Dignitas Mirage.
Dragoon Smash! That's what we love to see coming out from the top laner. He absolutely carries this fight, able to pick up a ton of kills. And while DNA and Meech go down very early in the fight, it just means that Dragoon is away firing. And that ultimate able to then reconnect, find the kill onto Babip. Yerson just sticking around, trying to find something. Hanser has TP'd in, it's 2000 HP.
They didn't go into King is a super low health. Yes, he might die after this. Pop Blossom stuns them back, but the
okay.
They actually will not get it, but actually, okay, I'm able to secure the Baron at least. They will lose 1 in the process, but now Dignitas Mirage, you were saying it before, they did need more heads up about their plays, and with Dragoon smashing that team fight too, Dig have taken the momentum in this game back on their favor.
I mean, just why are we going for this dive if you're TSM Academy, right? And this is the perfect situation if you're Dignitas. You are sitting here saying, okay, they are fighting us under turret without a Hecarim ult. Yes, Karma is able to shield us, but no one is able to enter into that backline. Yerson the entire time unable to do much. Cody-san, same thing, has a killer instinct, but not willing to dive between 2 different turrets. And so Dignitas being hand-gifted basically a perfect engage, and the fight goes on for so long that even DNA is able to respawn and come back into this fight. So able to find a ton of kills on the back end there. They'll be able to find themselves the Baron. I can't imagine with the resets. I wonder when we come out of this replay whether or not the Drake will be taken or not. So Dignitas will be first on the play. They will move in with mid lane. They will start up this Mountain Drake. And Ravish, we may have that 4 Drake win condition. It's a little bit late, but it's coming on through. Dignitas are able to pick themselves up the second one. And with Baron, they are looking to try and push the advantage versus TSM.
I only call it like I see it, Dimitri, right? And I believe, you doubted me in the beginning, but like yet again, it's all coming to fruition. It's what can I say, right? I just see these things, but
you love it when a plan comes together.
Exactly, yeah. K-cock Dory, as we like to say. But going across the board, right? Looking right now at TSM, right? They're playing a bit on the back foot. They have to wait until at least the Baron expires aside of Dignitas Mirage, and they now just have to be able to get and push all the side lanes they can. Hanser and all the rest of TSM's waiting to respond to them. If they could possibly find the team fight while they have the Baron, they could look to possibly break over the base of TSM too, Dimitri.
Yeah, you take a look at this. They're gonna. The problem here is that because Dignitas Mirage have taken so few turrets, again, the Baron is very difficult. It is very difficult for them to kind of work through it. They're gonna get a couple resets. They're gonna come right back onto the map and start to kind of push into the bot side of the jungle. They used a lot of their Baron here, coming right back onto the map and try to take some of these turrets. So good thing that's the only kind of shining light here for TSM, but still 3,000 gold and a mounting turret, and soon a mounting turret lead potentially for Dignitas. Just means that TSM, they need to this happened in game 1 as well, where they kind of just did exactly what Mirage want them to do, and TSM were like, Oh, we got to go back to the playbook, guys. Go back to what exactly we wanted to do. Take control of the side waves. Exactly, play to our win condition. So I wonder if TSM they'll be able to, if they'll sharpen up for this game, or if Dignitas Mirage are able to run away with this one.
I want to watch a little bit about the item breakpoints, Gwen, for the side of TSM and both Mirage at this point, right? Because we see that both Cody's son and both Micha picked up on almost 3.5 items, so they're very, very strong within these team fights. But all that's going to matter is how both Mirage and TSM like to play. You saw before that fight your top side river. If Cody's son is not able to get in, like Meech just absolutely frags out. But it's short ranges, right? Cody's son really excels, except under tower, which nobody should really be fighting in.
Yeah, it's a tough spot to fight. I would agree. I would definitely agree. Meech will finish the LDR here before Cody's son, which just means that Babip, Hanser, and Yerson are paper to this Jinx right now. LDR does so much for everybody at home. Not only is it a bunch of armor penetration, but the fact that you do up to 15% more damage based on if they have a higher max HP is so incredible for AD carries, especially for a bunch of champions who are stacking a lot of HP. So Babip going to be very fragile, needs to blow up Meech, and I think it's going to be very difficult. Look at the summoner spells here available. Still a flash and a stopwatch for Meech. I think it's going to provide a ton of time that Dignitas will be able to use to maybe try to fight back, as trying to defend this turret, hoping that someone will face check this brush.
Speaking of Meech right now, right? We've looking at his playstyle throughout these past 2 games. I gotta say, like, he's really grown with the team, especially when coming out to Mirage. Like, this guy's been an absolutely fantastic backbone for the Mirage. And like, I gotta say it, although it was a little bit back and forth, he's very, very mechanically different, Dimitri.
Yeah, he's always been this way, right? Even going back to Scouting Grounds last year when he was on XT Nation and all those different teams, he was a fantastic mechanical player, but it was always a little bit of a. Actually, we might have to hold this as Babip in the back lines.
He just gets caught out, unfortunately. Has to use the onslaught of shadows to get back to his team. The Mega Death Rocket will not be able to find him, but little bit of a forward-facing play as his team is not there yet, and that'll open up the mid-tier 2 Dignitas Mirage.
Yeah, Mirage, they will have access. They will continue to start battering down and opening up the base potentially. And if they want, they don't even have to finish this turret. It would be great for them to do so, but there's a Drake coming up in 30 seconds, and that could put them at soul point. Babip is back. He doesn't have ultimate, but looks like they're kind of rearing to go. Take a look. Have to watch. Remember, Sword is such a key part of this. Look at how much healing he's providing with the Moonstone Renewer passive, constantly keeping himself in combat. And Babip trying to trail, trying to get behind them. Look at the waves for Dignitas, though. Even if they lose this fight, their top lane is pushing, their bot lane is slowly pushing in their favor as they're going right in.
Immunity just goes all over the back line. The pop blast relies on so many people. And immediately it's going to get popped. And now with Cody at the back line, he's absolutely frightening on his team fight too. A little bit low, and Mana has to back away as you see King and Mish
oh my god, Cody's
completely zoning him. But Mish so low, the Cody's trying to hide him out with him. The 1v1 versus ADC has to flash away. Oh my god, he's there for the support. He flashes and gets him. That's all because of Cody's son. He gets shielded after triple kill. By the end of it, he's looking for the Quadra. One more precinct might be able to do it, but the kill will go over to Hanser. Oh my god, Cody's son, you mad lad.
He did it finally, and again, like we said, Sword is such a large component to this fight. Take a look at what they do right here. So they find this engage onto 2 members. Fantastic. The Pop Blossom stunning almost everybody, just barely missing out on Cody's son. And you have to think Dignitas Mirage, this is such a dangerous fight, but Cody's son is able to open up on the backline and watch Sword the entire time. 180 gives him another shield. Walks around, Cody's son giving him more and more healing. Cody's son is able to utilize this, and look at how much HP Cody's son gets back during this entire fight. Just barely able to live thanks to the Karma, thanks to the Moonstone. And Dignitas Mirage, after a very close fought fight, will lose out on the Baron, and again, that is a massive amount of just objectives. They will not get the Drake, so they'll have to come back onto the map where TSM or Dignitas will be set up before them. But man, these fights are only getting closer, and finally, Cody's son maybe feeling a little bit more empowered. He actually stopped his LDR and just immediately went for the Infinity Edge, saying, I need more damage now.
I mean, that shows up, it shows up, right? Especially within that team fight, the way he's a bob and weave, and definitely, like, Sword keeping him alive for so long is insane. The shields were huge. Didn't Moonstone get nerfed, bro? Like, I swear, I remember seeing some.
It got touched, you know, like they tweaked it just a little bit. It was fine. The new changes are looking kind of sick. I'm looking forward to what Moonstone looks like on the new patch, but we're a little bit ways off from that. We won't see that for Proving Grounds. However, look, coming back into this game, I mean, this is just fantastic. TSM have gotten themselves back to 2,000 gold lead almost, and. I mean, they're finding great engages, but Sword is such a pivotal member of this team. And now that Cody's son, he's gone to his late game items, he's feeling empowered to really be that assassin marksman on the Kai'Sa. Finally, TSM are able to open up the mid lane, take both tier 2s, and start to take control of the jungle like they wanted to so early on.
King just playing a little bit of disruptor control, trying to pick up far with any member
BABIP,
but on the backside too, yeah, you see the team isn't there this time, doesn't want to go for that engage because you saw what happened last time. As I said, they'll just play this kind of 4-1 up against the DIGM Mirage, trying to open up as many towers as they can, along with Baron empowered minions. Here, Dimitri too, TSM are tearing apart the base in Mirage.
This is so dangerous. There is a few other TPs. We see that Dragoon's TP is coming up, and there's a few flank wards that if they wanted to go for this, Dignitas Mirage have the possibility of trying to find a flank and trying to destabilize this team fight, try to mess up the front to back that they want. But right now, they're pushing on two fronts, and if they go in on this bot lane, Kai'Sa can show up at a moment's notice. So, need to watch what they're doing. A wave is about to crash in top lane, start to build in favor of TSM. If they want, they can try to triple inhib this, but they're just spreading Dignitas Mirage so thinly across both of these lanes.
They want to at least get out with one inhibitor, right, Dimitri? And getting that mid lane would be absolutely ideal as the Firefly.
Your son's going in.
Bobby doesn't go through the backside as well. Your second stunner to so many people before got caught up, and BABIP on the other end to
wait a minute.
Just carried them all back, but the pop lost more than do much because although he pops it onto 5, but he'll pop himself on the backside of Dimitri. And now we'll see as well. DNA King have to run away, although Cody's son dies. Haunter and Sword have more than enough damage for him. They'll get 2 inhibitors. They might try to craft open a tower, but now they should get out.
Okay. I was so worried right there. We saw Cody's son die so fast. Same thing with Meech. They traded backlines, right? The fear beyond death is so massive. And BABIP, I love how much he's just like, all right, we're just going to go for this. Watch where the Hecarim is going. And I want to see the rest of this fight because I was focusing on Meech and where he was in the positioning. Haunter lives for so long. And this Pop Blossom, I was thinking, this lands onto 3 members. This is potentially really huge alongside the Fear from Dragoon. But look at how much temporary EHP that, Haunter gets right there. He gets the Sterix proc. He gets the Karma, who is just getting absolutely buffed with the staff as well as the Moonstone. And I want to see, does he maybe have a Gargoyle? No, he doesn't. So he had a bunch of other tank items. This Renekton is so tanky and is such a bruiser. The Dignitas Mirage can't quite cut through him yet.
Stand out performances from TSM Academy, and especially looking at Sword, right? It's the fact that he's able to consistently keep his laners alive for so long. It was Cody's son the previous fight, and it was Haunter and BABIP in this one too. I honestly think that if they didn't have the Karma with the Moonstaff as of yet, so many fights could definitely turn out of his head, considering looking at Dragoon, how much damage he's actually putting out to staying alive in almost that entire team fight. But now, TSM look over to get priority out of the Drake. It is up in another 45 seconds. Actually, they might just look to go into DNA. Actually, he's pushed up a little bit, Dimitri. But
he's a little bit far. He's a little bit far up, but he is also just playing Nico. He has the Zonias. He also has the Pop Blossom. He has the Flash. Shouldn't be that much of a target. This entire time, Hanser was pushing out a lane. He's going for Krugs. I think he's just waiting for a TP right now. If you would have told me that an Urgot versus a Renekton is down almost 100 CS, I'd be like, okay, well, this Urgot is not very impactful. But you said it right there that Dragoon is still pumping out as much damage as he can, and he is having a really large impact. 10 seconds till his Drake. I don't think Mirage will have any chance to kind of go for this. They have 2 open inhibitors. They can't really try to contest for this Drake. So we're going all the way to 7 Drakes right now on the side for this series. I don't think, Ravish, it's looking bleak for Dignitas Mirage. I don't know if they'll be able to kind of really reel it in when it comes to getting to a soul point.
This is genuinely tough, right? And I find with the way they're focusing in the team fights on the members of TSM Academy, they have to be able to take out Cody, Sun, and Sword. But I thought if you take out one, you get absolutely throttled by the other. So there's really no winning here for the side of Dignitas Mirage. And they're facing elimination here, Dimitri. If they lose this game, they will be bottom 4. They're out of the tournament. And honestly, it's like, it would definitely hurt to see consider the rocky start they've had, but this Mirage roster, right? They've been together for so long. They've been so back and forth and going into this Proving Grounds. I've liked the performances, but they've had a rough early draw.
Yeah, it happens, but I need to see all of that does not matter. The narrative meta is not overpowered enough when we get into this game. Babip and Hans are on the flank, and Yursan's looking for the fight.
He immediately has to remember yet again, and look at this Hans on the backside. He has dominance. All that healing in Cody's Sun is almost untouched. All those spikes will impale every single one of Dignitas Mirage. DNA will go down, and King will limp away with his horns, who probably went broken off, Dimitri. And now TSM Academy, better in the early game, better in the mid game. They take this late, and they will shut down Dignitas Mirage and move on to the loser bracket.
They will continue on, and a massive team fight victory there. Just barely. It felt like Mirage kind of eking out small disadvantages against TSM Academy. And that was so close. Maybe if that Nico ultimate lands onto a few other members, maybe if Jinx is able to flash away, not quite go down so early on in the fight, we have another result for them. But TSM Academy, they kind of bully them around the map. They're finally able to find the flank. Babip and Hanser having a really fantastic series. And I think, yet again, this kind of showcased Babip having a really good time on this. And I'm hoping that as they go further into the losers bracket, they will continue to try to cultivate this, because we start to see TSM have a little bit of a lead. They look very strong. However, it is in their inconsistencies that I think they find a lot of flaws there.
Again, I believe we are about ready to get into the interview in just a couple of seconds, right?
We got the highlights though.
Look at you this. Are right. So we gotta look. It's so good. We gotta look back at it, Dimitri. It's because look, like this fight so far is so Smurf from Dragoon. He absolutely dripped on him, right? But from this moment on, it was just kind of a losing battle. And I do want to highlight definitely Babip yet again to this series, right? Consistently being able to maintain presence and momentum of the early game and making sure Hanser got ahead. We were talking about it. Execution was the name of the game for the comp of Mirage. And just looking at this, a little bit painful.
Yeah, just barely. Look at how close a lot of these fights are for Dignitas, but I don't want to take anything away from TSM. They played really well. I want to give huge props over to Sword on this Karma. Played the role really well, and I think his positioning was doing all right. You see, he's a little bit far from Cody Sun, but every single time, always there to try and find this. I think across the board, they're there to really just play for their team, play for Cody Sun, let him find these advantages. And this is not quite the final fight, but I mean, Yursan found amazing engages almost every single time. Babip is there to follow up. I think it's very difficult for Dignitas Mirage. Again, this was all predicating on whether or not they were able to find a counter engage. We'll watch this last fight over once again. Only lands onto this, but look at how early Meech dies, and he's in the middle of 5 members, gets blown up. And Cody Sun able to kind of just have free reign in this fight. Same thing with Hanser. They took control of top lane so hard, and they shut Dragoon out of the game. He was trying his damnedest to come back into it, but all in all, TSM Academy take a 2-0 versus Dignitas and be waiting in the losers bracket versus the winners of Nowhere versus Barrage.
And I think that Dignitas and Barrage have to take this loss in stride, definitely, because I don't think they played, and I don't think they necessarily underperformed by any means, right? It was just small little mistakes back and forth that we saw on their side, but I am still impressed by the guys coming from them. They absolutely played the hard outs, and again, just the match, shout out to Dragoon who did absolutely amazing. And I believe we have Cody's son on the interview as well. So we'll have him in the booth in just a couple of seconds. Cody's son, my brother, can you hear us?
Yep.
He's got to fix that. He's got to fix the camera. Right, there we go.
Yeah, there you go. We don't want to just look into your eyebrows, my brother. You are not Tyler One, so we want to get your CEO face.
He's not even here to defend himself. Come on, man. Jesus.
Mercy, but Cody's son, man, absolutely fantastic series play from you guys too. 2-0 clean across the board. How are you guys feeling about that win? Because you can see there was some touch and go moments from you guys, but at the end of the day, absolute domination.
Yeah, I mean, because this is like do or die for us, so we were all pretty hyped for the match and ready to give it our all. I told everyone that when it comes to playoffs, only playoffs matter, and only whoever shows up that day matters. So I think we all showed up today, and we had a pretty decent 2 games.
TSM and lower bracket miracle runs. We'll wait to see if it happens, but the narrative is already starting to form. It all comes into place. Cody, talking about last week coming into this into this match tonight, you guys did end up losing to Zeus last week, and obviously UGP was a little bit more difficult. You guys ended up qualifying through there. What exactly, I mean, from your perspective, has really gone on with TSM, even all the way from the academy split to now, and how are you guys looking to kind of get to that final form for you?
So I think our team, because I feel like we're a really flexible team right now, and we play like all 3 lanes, including the jungle position as well. So like it just took us a long time to kind of figure things out and get everyone on the same page, especially since we also had CJ Fizzy for like half of the split, and then we switched to Yersan. And so it just took a lot of time for us to gel and mesh together. But I think right now we're definitely at a really good place as a team. And we're ready to make the miracle losers bracket run.
Okay. The narrative starting to form, as you said, Dimitri. Now, Cody, so I do want to specifically ask you right now, what do you want to prove to the people watching this games about your team, and maybe specifically you as a player, as you make your way through Proving Grounds, and even past that even?
I mean, I think from our scrims and from stage matches, I don't think anyone in Academy is like better at ADC than I am. And also, I think Yersan and I were just like really dominating 2v2s. But we also know how to play for the team as well. So yeah, I think our team is just really flexible right now. And when we're in form, when we're ready to go on the day of the match, then I think we're a really scary team right now.
Yeah, those bot TVTs were pretty disgusting. We were like, oh, okay, we're getting mixy already early on in the game. Ravish, I've got nothing here. That was these are some really good matches, and I'm excited to see what Cody's son and the team can do.
Yeah, definitely so, man. Like, fantastic games from you guys today, man. And I gotta say, it was an absolute pleasure to watch you guys go into this game. And I'm excited to see if both TSMs across the board, across the entire organization, can make those miracle losers bracket runs. So the narrative pans out all the way through. But Cody Son, man, thank you very, very much for appearing with us on the interview. Really good job today, and GG's to you and the team.
Thank you so much. GG's.
Oh man, that was what just a nice, wholesome guy.
We get 2 really well-spoken marksman players. You love to see it, especially since us marksman players, we get a bad rap sometimes that we complain to get our way through the meta. I love to see it. Shiro and Cody, thank you guys for the interviews tonight. You guys were incredibly, just really well-spoken, and again, just a pleasure to have.
And like across the board, Dimitri, I gotta say we saw absolutely fantastic games tonight. As I believe we do have the final updated bracket for you guys.
There we go.
As we go into tomorrow's games, right? Because now with Dignitas Mirage being out, we'll see like. Yet again, stuff we've seen before. We've seen facing EG and EGP face the winner between No Org and Barrage, which that matchup is tomorrow, and that is one you do not want to miss. Some of the best teams in Amateur will be playing in that, right? It's super sick.
Yeah, exactly. No Org Barrage, that is a final that we have seen before, and it has went to 5 games, but going up against EGP, it just means that there's so much talent. I'm looking forward to see who ends up going there, and when we look at the losers bracket, again, it is going to be very, very close between them, right? We're looking at the side of, we look at round 2, TSM, they're waiting for some of the other victors to come on down. And also we have Dignitas versus FlyQuest. Dignitas Academy versus FlyQuest, which I think personally is a super hype matchup. So tomorrow, a bunch of really awesome best of 3s we get to see. Does Dignitas get to keep their run? Does FlyQuest continue on into round 3? Do we get more and more amateur teams out into quarterfinals? We'll have to wait and see.
Will the dragon prevail, Dimitri?
Yes.
Is the question at the end of the day.
There we go.
And that's what you want to see, right? But with that all being said, I believe that will be everything from us tonight. I do want to thank you for being by my side the entire day, man. And I also want to thank production for making us look good. Thank you all for watching. Now, all that being said, I have been Ravishing Ravis, the most ravishing man on the internet. We'll be back tomorrow with some more games, so we'll see you there. Y'all stay safe. Peace.
Verizon believes everyone deserves the best. That's why we start with 5G from America's most reliable network.
Verizon 5G is next level.
Then give families plans to mix and match, so you only pay for what you need starting at $35.
You get so much more than this, a great network.
And offer the best in entertainment on select unlimited plans, like Disney+, Hulu, and ESPN+, as well as Discovery+, with a Galaxy S21 Plus 5G when you buy one. There's no reason to settle for less than the best, only from Verizon.